Uh, before I play people today, I thought I'd look at some of the highlights of the candidates today. In the candidates, out of 3 games, there were 2 decisive games and 1 draw. Probably the last game is going to be a draw. And the results were surprising. So the Americans, making sure neither one of them plays for the World Championship. This is Hikaru White against Fabi. White's slightly better. Black should play rook a to d8. And surprisingly, Fabi went downhill very quickly here. He played a series of bad moves. It's possible he already thought his game was quite bad since White's position is so active. And he sort of pushed black back a lot. But he played knight f8, which is very passive. Rook e5 is a good move. Queen d8's okay. And then the engine actually wants to sacrifice this pawn, which Hikaru didn't do. Thanks to Manmoth 1990. And I wanted to thank somebody else. Bottom 2G for the sub. So forth. But Hikaru played h5, which is pretty human. And now Fabi made a very bad move, which is losing. He needs to play queen b6 and then rook d8. White still has a nice advantage. But he played bishop d7, which is a terrible move. And he has to take with the bishop. Black's just too passive here. And White's winning. Fabi played the best move, queen f6, queen b4. And I mean, the engine wants Fabi to play bishop d7, queen takes, bishop takes, and that's just losing. And Fabi probably saw that and saw that was losing. So instead, he went down without a fight. I think by this point, Fabi probably gave up. He played b5, which just loses immediately to knight h7, knight e7 check. Bishop is protecting h7, so king h8's forced, and then knight d5 threatens the queen and threatens checkmate. Actually, black can go down a piece, which can't go down a piece, but he can play c5 and knight d7, and this is the best black can do. So he resigned instead after knight d5. So very good game by Hikaru, and basically it sort of knocks both of them out of the World Championship fight. I guess Hikaru has small chances with +1, but Fabi's at 50%, so he's finished. Okay, and the other game that was also surprising and decisive was this game between Vidit and Gukesh. Gukesh played like a6 and h6 in the opening in this position, like he's Mike Kummer. And somehow he equalized quite easily. And this is nothing for black to worry about. And somehow Gukesh tripled on the A file, which doesn't seem possible, although the engine already does not like white's position. And he just put all his pieces on the A file. And white didn't really have anything on the king side. It was very geometric the way he crashed through Gukesh. He the A file, then the eighth rank, and then the king side. Sort of nice. And c5 just loses immediately. Now black's up a pawn and crashing through on the king side. Now black's threatening g5 checkmate. Everything wins for black. Now he's threatening queen g3 mate. Now he's threatening to take on f5 or play rook f4. So this threatens the queen, but he just takes, because if you take the queen, then I play g5 checkmate. And if you take with the g pawn, then queen g3 is mate. So he took with the f pawn. And then he resigned here. The only legal move is king takes knight and then mate. That wasn't the only way for black to win, but that was certainly very cute, to sacrifice lots of material to checkmate. He could also mate without sacrificing material, but what he did was the quickest. And in this position, Vidit resigned. So Vidit's finished as far as challenging Ding. And Gukesh is right in the mix now with +2. So go Vidit. Those were two decisive games. Pragdanandha Firouzja was pretty boring. They traded everything. This game was also boring between Jan and Abbasov, which is still ongoing. And white is slightly better because this pawn's weak. And when I say white's slightly better, I mean human slightly better. If you ask an engine, it says it's equal. But if you ask any grandmaster, would you rather have white or black here? 100% say white. Even though it's a draw, it's better to be white, because it's a possibility white will win this pawn, and there's no chance black will win this pawn. You could see white's king could come up, or the rook, or something. But yeah, the game's going to be a draw. I don't see Abbasov losing this. They've made time control. Yeah. Let's see. The women's candidates. This game was fairly equal draw between Lano and Alexander Grochkina. Pretty even game, the whole game. Humpy was completely winning. An exchange up for nothing and better. And then in time trouble, she messed it all up. And now the engine says it's equal. White's still up the exchange for no pawns, but black's position's fantastic. Knight on c3 and passed pawns here, bishops on e5. And it's hard for white to do anything, to break through or attack anything. So the engine actually says this is equal now between Humpy and Vaishali. Black's been winning for a long time in Tan Zhangyi Lei Tingxie, which is a very important game because Teng Zhangyi's in first and she's losing with white, and she's still losing with white. This knight's fantastic. Black's up a pawn. Rook on g1's no good. Pawn on c3 is weak. Black doesn't have any weak pawns. Queen's defending it, so it's really good for black in this position. So good winning chances for Lei Tingxie, which is a very important game. And then Salamova was close to winning, and then she traded all the pieces into this drawn endgame. So she messed up in time trouble. And you can guess in this position the blunder that she made. The engine says white's up 2.28. And white's next move is considered a blunder. White had plenty of time. You can guess the blunder without even looking at the position. Just say a move that's a blunder, and that's right, etc. Boy, that would be a blunder, sacking the exchange. That would be a bad move. F3. Yeah, F3 is a terrible move and gives almost all of white's advantage away. Any move is better. Bishop D3 defending the pawn is better, and the best move is Rook A1 attacking the bishop. And Salamova had tons of time. And she played F3, double question mark. And after knight D7, her knight's not doing so good. And if you play the obvious move, knight to B5 to save your knight, then I go check and knight C5. And your bishop's trapped. It's still better for white, but it's, white's struggling to keep the advantage. So she bailed out in this position after knight D7 and played bishop B5. And now it's probably a draw because she played F3. Now there's this fork. And she went into this endgame, which is likely drawn. Yeah, I don't see how white wins. I don't even see how white attempts to win. Black's completely solid here. The engine says white's better by 0.3. White is symbolically better, but I don't think there's serious winning chances. So F3 spoiled it for Salamova. So we could see 4 draws, but more likely we'll see 3 draws, and Lei Ting-Che is going to win with black against Ten Zhongyi, which changes the whole tournament. Ten Zhongyi has been in clear first the whole tournament. Until now. But now it looks like, and this was a London system where white never really got an advantage, and she just got outplayed. So this is looking bad.